Okay. Good morning. Thank you for taking your time out of your day to come see my senior project. I'm Belle. And when I decided to do the senior project, I was thinking a lot about my 4 years here at MVRHS and what they've meant and what I kind of want to leave behind as my legacy and, just something as a senior thing. You just kind of want to leave something behind. So I'm really passionate about sports, as Mr. McGrath had already introduced. When I was about 9 years old, I started playing hockey, and from then on, I just kind of took off in sports for my entire life. When you get to the high school as a ninth grader, you think a lot about your goals and what you want to set and achieve when you come into the high school. A lot of kids will say, oh, I want to make honor roll every quarter, every year. Not me. I told my parents I had one goal, and that was to be a tri-season captain. And they probably said something like, oh yeah, sure, that's great, but you are going to work on your schoolwork too. That's really important. Sure, Mom, sure, Dad. So as a senior, when I met that goal, it was the best feeling in the world. There were definitely some tears shed when my lacrosse coach, Kirsten, pulled me over and said, hey, you're one of two for our 2016 season. It was an amazing feeling knowing that I had achieved the only goal I set for my high school career. It's amazing how many girls look up to me and how my coaches and teammates trust in me to be a leader of the team, and it's definitely a dream come true. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Sports are my entire life. They motivate me to be in school and to do well and get the grades to keep going, and motivated me to go to college and play sports, and I'm playing field hockey with Assumption next year. Very excited. And I wanted to share through this video really and get the point across of how much sports meant, and how much they've impacted me, and they've saved my life. I have an amazing support system filled with at least 50 girls, probably more, and 4 coaches, and they're the reason I am who I am today. My parents, of course, and my family have helped me get to that point too, but without these girls and my coaches, there wouldn't be a Belle. So the process was full of wanting to punch the computer screen every time I opened iMovie. I was running back and forth, asking Mr. McGrath 1,000,001 questions, how to cut and drag movie and film into iMovie, and how to put it all together, and how to use the green screen, and how to upload it to YouTube, and all that stuff. So through this process, I've definitely learned that I am not in any way a tech guru, and I really shouldn't be trusted with a computer, because there have been a couple times where iMovie will be quitting the whole night, and I go back to school and it's still up quitting. So it was definitely an interesting process learning how to make a video and a documentary, so to speak. So I've been talking for quite a bit of time, and so I want to show you guys not all of it, because it's 30 minutes long, and I don't really want to make you guys sit through 30 minutes of just a couple people talking about me, because that's kind of a little. So I'm going to show you at least like 15 minutes, so halfway through I'm going to show you the beginning part and then move to the end so you can see my senior year, which is the most recent, and I don't know, it's the end, so I might as well show that part too. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Should I leave this somewhere? Okay. Okay.
I don't think you would be a person without athletics. I just don't imagine there is a Belle without athletics. Any athletics, whether it's gym, whether it's field hockey, whether it's lacrosse, whether it's ice hockey, it doesn't matter what the sport is. I think without any sport, you would not have the character that you do. I think that you're one of those people that just has to be involved in competition. Far exceeded than what I thought I was going to. We lost a lot of key players last year and had to fill in a lot of difficult spots. And we juggled around at the very beginning. I knew we had strong leadership with you as a captain, Lee Heyman as a captain, Emma Karen and Sarah Podgy, without doubt. There's no question. And all four of those people have that intense athleticism and intense attitude. I think you being the most intense, worked hard on the game, off season without question, going to camps, going to clinics, and making yourself into the player that you are. I can only teach you so much, but I think going off island and going to all these camps and these clinics and just taking it upon yourself to be the better player without question showed this year. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that you were the best player in the actual EAC, without doubt. The best stick handle, the best athleticism. Just really lovely to watch. I mean, it was just when you had the ball, we felt very confident, all the coaches, and knew that something spectacular was going to happen with the ball. So when we qualified for tournament, it was great. And one of the things I kept telling you as a team was, we're in the tournament, but we are so far ahead of the game that the more games we win right now, the better chance we'll have of getting a home tournament game, which you always want to get because it's home field advantage. Especially this, wanting to play on our own field, which is grass, as opposed to going someplace else where we would probably play on turf, because we're in the past. We don't have a turf field. Everybody else has a turf field. So we did. We actually won enough games, and there were so many great moments this year, and just so many wonderful things that happened this season that it's just too many to even name everything. Between slip and slides and dress ups and bubble parties.
One of the first practices when we were doing the running down the field doing the different things, you would be so
you did that first,
and so good at it.
And even if you were the first one, you would stand up at the line and cheer for everybody, and it was it's just really encouraging.
And it was so comfortable when you were doing it. It wasn't like you were
worried or nervous. You had such a strong stick that it was it was fun to watch you just go there.
Your talent was beyond comprehension. I would say that it was sometimes the most beautiful thing to watch out on the field, between your stick handling, the goals that you scored. Obviously, you can't score those without assists from others. To have somebody go about 15 goals before the tournament is pretty amazing. That's a lot of goals in one season, and to know that there are going to be more games after that, and probably putting the ball in a few more times was even more exciting. Our first game was against Mashpee. We actually did very well and handled that very easily. We adjusted some things on the field, and the outcome was obviously that we won. And I knew the next round we were definitely going to get another home game, which was great. And what's really cool about it is that this is a team we drew the next round. Was a team that was just 1 point under us, so it could have gone either way. But we had the extra point, so instead of going to Monomoy to play on turf, they had to come and play on grass, which was definitely an advantage for us, because it was a pitted game, because this coach from Monomoy was the coach from Harwich, which is a team that we used to play all the time, way back when I was a coach, and she didn't want to play us anymore because we would always give her the good fight. So I hadn't seen her in years and years and years, but she's a coach that is intense, much more intense than I am, and is not really liked by a lot of coaches because she has a tendency to ring up scores 10-0 to 20-0 to 25-0 to pad her team's stats, which is something I would never do. I don't care, you've got 3 goals, that's great, you're done. We're going to sit down unless we're losing, and then we'll put you back in. But there's no need for that particular type of a score, and it's almost it's appalling for other coaches. But she should be embarrassed, and shame on her. I was excited, and she had some great players. I think that you guys were hyped up, Belle. I think you were definitely the leader out on that field with all the other captains ready to go. I don't think you knew the history behind all that, but it was amazing. I think we scored first, which was great. We did score first. It was 1-0. I'm like, holy gosh. we're ahead. And it was a bloodbath. I mean, we played hard. You could hear the ground shake. You were not going to be beat out on that field. No way. Especially you. I think you were the one out there. Let's go, you guys. Let's go. I think there's some heated discussion out on the field, too, between teams, but that's to be expected when you get to a quarterfinals of the States, and then on the line, I just knew that, we're going to end up going into overtime. And I felt good. I think that we're a very good overtime team, which means a 7-on-7 team, because we have really 7 great players that will just go out there and give it all. And so it did. It came down to 77, and I took the huddle, and I can remember your face, Belle. It was just like, yep. I mean, you were just, there was no way, and everybody else was the same. And when I put the players out on the field, before I said that, I said, this is the Scoop Girls. The first team that gets possession of that ball and goes over the 50-yard line is the team that's going to win. There's no doubt. And it kind of went a little bit back and forth over the 50, but once it went over the 50, I still replayed video, and in the past it was interesting. It was broken up. I think it was by Sarah Paggi, and it kind of got loose. I don't know how you got your stick on that ball, but when you got your stick on that ball, all of a sudden, like, everybody said, Belle's got the ball, and all of a sudden, the next thing you know, it's like she's on a breakaway, and then the next thing I know, you shot it, and I'm like, it went in, and I'm like, oh my God, that ball just went in, and I think I was still on the sidelines while everybody else was on top of you, and I just was like, oh my gosh, and it was packed at that game, packed, and there were people there because they knew of Cheryl, but I think that was probably one of the most amazing moments, and I would imagine for you, probably a moment that you'll never forget in your lifetime is putting that ball in the net. And it wasn't just you putting that ball in the net. I knew it was you, but it was everybody that was, you could feel everybody, whether they played or didn't play, you could just feel the jubilance up there, and you have to remember that as a player because, hopefully maybe in college you'll get that feeling again, but to put us and advance us to the semifinals of is a pretty amazing feeling, and I think I smiled the rest of the night and just relived that moment. And we had a young lady get out there. I think it was Belle Chimes that actually got the picture of your face, which I relive all the time, of your face going, I can't breathe. I'm like, you're breathing, Belle, you're breathing. And I don't think I got there right away. I was still on the sidelines, just in awe, and just letting you all celebrate.
Oh my God, your winning goal, like when you have the breakaway. That
Was it crazy? I cried. You cried? We were all, I just remember all the JV, like all the JV players, we were like sitting on the bench watching it, and all of a sudden you just hear these like high death screams, like somebody was being murdered.
to show us.
I wasn't gonna.
She was.
He was always my thing.
Like he always like pushed us and stuff, and like he would like the player in the field at least was like, oh, like how you play, Belle, and like that's what I always heard. So I was like, oh, I want to be like that.
Like the
so,
player that we look up to.
We played indoors and got ourselves ready. I knew they were good. I knew they had a couple of key players, and my goal for that was to take that game to overtime, which would have been my hope, as unless we had scored. But as I watched the game start, I said, "Oh, just let us go to overtime," because they were a very strong team. They were seeded 1, and I knew they had the advantage. Number 1 of playing turf, without doubt, and number 2, a home game. And it was a terribly rainy night, but that was fine. And you could see the intensity on everybody's face, but also you could just see that your proud moments. I mean, you guys being proud to be there. It was just your time, your moment. You as a captain should have been so proud to have your team out on that field when the national anthem played. You were lined up in the middle of the field. It's rare. It doesn't happen that often. So the game just was heated back and forth, but they really dominated quite a bit of the game. It was hard. I think they were double teaming you, so you didn't get the ball as much as I wanted you to get. It was difficult to get you open. So they had your number. They knew that you were the go-to.
It was really good.
yeah, that was good because like you always like cheer us on and stuff, and like if we weren't like working together as a team, like you told us like.
There wasn't a moment you weren't like, you didn't sugarcoat it about like us working as a team, and you didn't like, and you weren't like too harsh though. You weren't like, you guys stopped like work harder, but it was encouraging. That's how I describe you as a captain.
When you were giving us like criticism, you'd like tell us like what we did wrong, but then you'd also tell us like you'd be like, yeah, what we did like right with it. So it'd be like, yeah, you did this wrong, but you also did like that's like amazing.
Even at captain's practice, like, you were always the one to, like, correct us.
And
And
like, instead of working on your own stuff, you came over and like,
Belle was surrounded her senior year with a handful of hockey players and sailors and field hockey players and soccer players and basketball players. Even her sister is a basketball player. And we never missed a beat with that stuff, with the off the ice stuff. How you handle yourself as a hockey player, what are the expectations as being a part of the varsity hockey team, and how do you carry yourself in school, how do you carry yourself outside of school, what's the commitments during that 3-month season. And from afar, I think people, think we're spoiled because of the locker room and because of what we get as a varsity girls hockey team or a varsity hockey team. But I think it also brings us together and also makes us have to get over things in that sort of environment. And that was a huge part of, how do we overcome obstacles through a 3-month season. And ultimately, for helping kids get over things on and off the ice, and believing that sports can be a huge part of it, I think part of Belle's legacy will be that she was a hockey player first, she was a competitor first, but she also bought into what it takes to be a student athlete, in this environment. She had a checking from behind and got thrown out of the game, and then it carries in an automatic suspension through the MIA, so there was no appeal, there was no nothing. She had to miss, ultimately 3 games, 2 games after the actual game that she got kicked out of. So it came out to really almost 3 full games, and that was a huge part of her season, missing 3 games. And it impacted us, because she was one of our better players, if not our best forward, clearly. We relied on her a lot, and so we had to have conversations about that. And Belle, I will say the part that we completely got right away was that Belle knew immediately what she had done. I think it all sort of coalesced in her head after being kicked out of the game, that she knew that it was something that just couldn't continue, and she had to pull it together, and she did. And we're proud to say that I think she only had a couple minor penalties the rest of the year, and she was a completely different player from that moment on. And I think it shows a lot about her character and learning from mistakes and learning from things. Not just you talk about that as a guidance counselor, you learn from mistakes in and out of the classroom, social choices, academic choices. But as a coach, you want people to learn from things. You don't have to be perfect, and she learned from it clearly, and it wasn't because we made her learn from it. She learned from it, she knew what she did, and she changed herself, and her teammates all knew that too, which is probably the most important thing.
It was getting tough and stuff, you'd always try to be level-headed. I know for me personally, when the game's getting tough, I get inside my head, but you always you'd stay calm and stuff, and you always
motivate
do.
and help out your teammates.
I think it was in the middle of the season, you had this really nice drive, and I noticed Megan started to drive you, and yeah.
When we lost the game in overtime, it was everyone was beating themselves up and crying, and you were there cheering.
It was stupid.
Cheering everyone up and not letting everyone get in their heads.
Yeah, you definitely brought us up.
Even though it was hurting you too, you put your feelings aside and helped everyone else out for yourself.
Yeah. I remember personally when I got my first goal, you were there with me, and I just remember getting it and then turning around and you just being right there and just congratulating me and stuff, and that was just the best moment ever.
And it also having you as captain also showed that you were not only really devoted to hockey, but you were devoted to your friendship. Throughout the season, we got really close, and you were definitely there to help me through a lot of things.
On and off the ice.
Yeah.
That you're gonna look back on it. There's gonna be, you're gonna be thinking about it forever. It's gonna be something that that's gonna stick with you. The people that you play sports with, they're gonna remember it. All that, you build these relationships on those fields, practicing, putting in the hard work with all those guys, and I think, you know, it's gonna be tough doing it, but definitely when it's all said and done, after you play your last senior game and you walk off the ice or walk off the field for the last time, you're gonna wish that there's more time, that you had more time, and you're gonna cherish every second you spent working on those fields with the people around you.
So that's probably around half of my video. I'm ready to take questions if anyone has them. Yeah.
Can you talk about assumption?
Assumption? Like my
Like how you got there and
yeah. So my junior year, I decided that field hockey was what I wanted to do after high school. And, you know, I'm one of those people, like, I need sports to get me through school. So I went to showcases and I put myself out there. And actually, Fiorito was a big help in getting me to choose Assumption. All of a sudden, I was just emailing with this coach, and then I was committing to her school to play with her. I went on an overnight, and I signed a couple weeks ago. It was amazing, but yeah, it just kind of like just happened. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
I thought, the people that you interviewed, what was the prompt? Did you ask one question to all of them?
There were a couple questions around. All of them were around the same. It was like, how have sports impacted you? Why are they important?
Mm-hmm.
And then like, for the 3 girls on my team, I just kind of wanted to see and like get the point across of how important it is as a freshman and to have that impact and have that hopefully role model. I hope I'm a role model for them and how just important it is as a whole throughout all 4 years to kind of have those sports and those people in your life.
Are you in the video? No.
Belle, at the beginning you talked about how when you came into high school, how, you know, you were talking to your parents, how, you know, academics were like, yeah, I'm going to try to be captain. Throughout the course of your high school, did that change? Or did you think about academics differently, maybe related to your experience with sports?
Yeah, no, I mean, sports have motivated me so well to kind of also be in academics. Like my freshman year, my grades weren't too bad. Sophomore year, I came in and I think there's like one point where, there's a point every year where my mom kind of like, and Fiorito get together and they kind of say, hey, you're not doing too well. And that kind of changed, especially my senior year, I think. I actually got stressed about school for once in my life, which was kind of insane, but it was all because I needed to get my stuff together. And especially applying to college and playing on a team, like, you have to have the grades, especially in college, to kind of you have to have the grades to be on the team. You have to have the grades to keep your scholarship, and I think that sports have really made me realize how important it is for your life and your schooling to get good grades. And I didn't realize that my freshman year and my sophomore year. And I kind of came to terms with it my junior year as well, but really this year, throughout like the whole applying and getting recruited and just being a captain, you know, I have to set an example for my girls, and almost failing school isn't really a great example to set. Yes.
After 4 years now, and being a freshman on sports teams, and then obviously a sophomore and a junior, and then being a senior and the leader and all that, do you have advice, or do you have, you've seen probably good senior classes before you, and you've seen poorly run teams or not great leadership from other teams you probably been a part of as well. What works, what doesn't work, what would you say to like younger kids
Well, I think like going into it as a freshman, like you kind of have this, like there's obviously the stereotype about being on a team freshman year, like you're the like you do the grunt work, like you have to bide your time to get to the top. But as a senior and an upperclassman and as a captain, like I've realized that to have a successful team, everyone needs to be treated the same. And especially as a captain, I have to think about when I was a freshman and I was looking at these captains, what did I want to change about them to make them better, you know? Like, I feel like everyone has that kind of want as a, like, underclassman or just as not a captain to, you criticize your captains and you think about, oh, like, I would have done this instead of, like, that. And they're not treating us the way, like, we should be treated. And I think a lot throughout, like, my 3 seasons of being a captain, I've thought a lot about how those underclassmen and my peers, or my grade mates, or whatever you want to call them, how they view me and how, like, I am not the sole, like, with my other captain or my other 2 captains, we are not the sole part of the team. Like, to be on a team, you have to incorporate everything.
There's a debate out there that says sports teaches you things, and then other people feel that you've already been taught those things throughout your life, that sports brings those things out of you. Do you think sports has actually taught you stuff, or has it been a vehicle for character that you may have already had and wasn't actually taught through sports?
I think a little bit of both. My sophomore year period out, I don't know if it was my sophomore year or my junior year, we had a quote, and it was on all of the backlit t-shirts and on our locker room. It said, sports do not build character, they reveal it. So I think that, and like, Fierdo is great at just kind of like, he wants like us to learn and to grow, but he's like really big on, you know, like sports are a huge part of the way they shape us, but I think that I had that character inside of me already, but I don't think it would have came out if I did not play sports. I think they teach you a lot about how to be a teammate, and for me, how to be a leader, and how to interact with people and how to help people.
So on, your presentation, and I think you've expressed that you had that goal of being, a captain for, 3 different sports your senior year. What is your goal now going to be in college, looking forward, since you've had such a great opportunity to look back at your athletic career, your high school years and middle school, but mostly high school. What are you going to do? What is your goal in the future, and how do you want to, create and continue this message that you're telling us, or, what do you want to do?
Well, I'm going to study criminal justice in college at Assumption, and me and my mom have talked about this a lot, and I really want to kill it academically wise in college, and I just want sports to be my outlet for kind of just having the same structure and the same team experience and awe that I've had at the high school level, and basically just trying to like keep improving my game, keep doing what I love, but also helping me kind of get into college and really help me stay on track with my academics. And hopefully in the future I would love to be a coach, maybe after I start my career, and just kind of help those girls, like, I don't know, like Fiorito and Lisa for me have been amazing role models, and I kind of want to help other kids and other girls have that role model in their lives too. Yes.
So when you're talking about some of the leadership characteristics that you do with a captain kind of embodying, I was thinking about how those are sort of leadership in general, way of describing a kind of leadership. I think there's a lot of different ways to think about leadership, but you were really kind of almost talking about like your vision of what a leader is. So I was wondering, like, you were just talking about criminal justice too, like, do you see yourself in a leadership role in the future, like outside of sports?
I would hope so. I don't know. I think being a leader is something I really love. I love that people look up to me. I love kind of taking charge and, like kind of leading the girls through games and stuff, especially. I don't know, it's been a goal of mine forever. So I would love to continue that and kind of be my own boss, like in whatever field I go into, whether it's being a lawyer, out on the police field, or like maybe in the FBI or something. But definitely, I don't think as much as I love being part of a team, I think I really am a leader at heart, and I definitely see myself being a leader in my career as well. Well, thank you all for coming.